Tomasz wiped the sweat from his forehead as he looked across the dense forest. The sun was low, casting long golden shadows over the alien landscape. He had spent the last 2 days exploring this part of the planet, searching for any signs of ancient human settlements. Most of the area was wild and untouched, with trees that shimmered faintly under the sunlight and flowers that moved as if they were breathing. Tomasz loved it. It was beautiful, mysterious, and full of secrets waiting to be discovered. He walked carefully, his boots crunching against the soft ground. Something caught his eye: a stone wall, half covered by vines, hidden between 2 enormous trees. Tomasz froze. The wall looked old, worn by time, and covered with strange symbols that glowed faintly in the fading light. His heart beat faster. This could be it, a hidden place no one had seen in centuries. Tomasz had dreamed of discovering ruins like this ever since he had become an explorer. He stepped closer, brushing aside the vines. The wall led to a small opening, like a door carved from the forest itself. Beyond it, he could see a garden. Strange flowers grew everywhere, glowing softly in colors he had never seen before. Trees twisted toward the sky in patterns that seemed almost impossible, and small streams reflected the light like liquid silver. It felt magical, as if he had walked into a world that existed outside of time. Tomasz took a deep breath, careful to make no noise. He loved the feeling of discovery, the thrill of being the first human to step into a hidden place. But as he stepped further, he noticed movement among the flowers. Someone else was here. "Hello," he called softly, his voice barely louder than a whisper. A figure stepped out from behind a cluster of glowing plants. She was wearing a simple suit for exploration, carrying a small notebook in her hand. Her hair was tied back, and her eyes were wide with surprise. "Who are you?" she asked, her voice calm but curious. "I could ask you the same," Tomasz said, keeping his hands visible. "I'm Tomasz. I didn't expect anyone else to be here." She relaxed slightly but kept her distance. "I'm Myra. I'm studying the plants here for the Colony Council. I didn't know anyone had found this place yet." Tomasz smiled. "It looks like we both found something incredible." For a moment, they just looked at each other, then around a hidden garden. It was beautiful, unlike anything either of them had seen before. The air was sweet and fresh, filled with the faint sound of water trickling over stones. Small insects, glowing like tiny lanterns, floated around the flowers. Tomasz felt a strange sense of peace, as if the garden itself welcomed them. Myra walked closer, her eyes scanning the plants. "These flowers. I've never seen anything like them. Some of them even glow on their own. It's like they are alive in a way we can't understand." Tomasz nodded. "It's amazing. I've been searching for ruins like this for years. I didn't think I'd find anything still, so full of life." They started to explore the area together, careful not to damage the plants or the ruins. Tomasz pointed out carvings on the stone walls, while Myra took notes and touched the leaves gently to study them. Every corner of the garden seemed to hide another mystery: twisted vines, hidden pools, flowers that changed color when touched. The more they explored, the more they realized how special this place was. As the sun dipped lower, Tomasz noticed Myra shivering slightly. "It's getting cooler," he said, offering his jacket. She smiled and accepted it. The gesture was small, but it made Tomasz feel a warmth he had not expected. "I'm glad I'm not alone here," Myra said quietly, almost to herself. "It would be lonely discovering this place by myself." Tomasz nodded. "I feel the same way. It's easier to understand this place with someone else. They stayed for a while longer, walking among the glowing plants and studying the ruins. The hidden garden seemed alive, almost like it knew they were there. For Tomasz, the thrill of discovery was mixed with something new, a strange connection to Myra, a feeling that this adventure was becoming more meaningful than he had imagined. As the first stars appeared in the sky, Tomasz knew that this was only the beginning. The hidden garden had secrets to reveal, and for the first time, he felt he might not want to face them alone. Myra's presence made the unknown less frightening, and something inside him stirred, a gentle hope that this discovery might change more than just his career, it might change his life. The next morning, Tomasz and Myra returned to the hidden garden. The sunlight filtered softly through the tall trees, making the glowing plants shimmer even more. Birds with colorful feathers sang from the branches above, and the air smelled sweet, like honey and fresh rain. Tomasz felt a thrill in his chest. He had never seen anything so alive, so beautiful. Myra walked carefully over the soft moss, her notebook open. "These plants are unlike anything on our colony," she said, pointing to a flower that pulsed with a gentle blue light. "I think some of them might even respond to our presence." Tomasz bent down to examine the flower closely. "It's amazing. You're right, look how it glows when we touch it. Almost like it's communicating." Myra smiled at him. "You always notice the small details, don't you?" He shrugged, trying to hide his smile, but it reached his eyes. "I've had to survive in places like this. But I think you notice even more than I do." For a moment, they walked in silence, each lost in the wonder of the garden. Then, Tomasz spotted something unusual. A small landslide had partially blocked a pathway, and a section of the ruins looked unstable. He frowned. "We need to be careful. That part of the ruins looks like it could collapse." Myra nodded, her expression serious. "We can't risk damaging the garden or ourselves. But maybe we can find another way through." As they moved toward a narrower path, the ground suddenly gave way beneath Tomasz's foot. He stumbled, reaching for something to hold onto, and almost fell into a small pit. Myra was quick. She grabbed his arm, pulling him back to safety. Tomasz laughed nervously, catching his breath. "Thanks, that was close." "You need to be more careful," Myra said, though there was a soft smile on her face. "This place may look safe, but it hides dangers everywhere." He smiled at her, feeling a strange warmth. "I'll try. But I'm glad you're here. I don't think I could handle this garden alone." Myra's cheeks colored slightly, but she looked away, pretending to examine a nearby plant. Tomasz noticed and felt a flutter in his chest. He had never felt this way before, safe, excited, and drawn to someone all at once. They continued deeper into the ruins, carefully stepping over broken stones and fallen branches. The carvings on the walls became more intricate, telling stories of people who had lived here long ago. Myra traced the symbols with her fingers, her brow furrowed in concentration. "These carvings, they tell a story," she said softly. "I think the people who lived here valued nature above all. Look at these plants, they're at the center of every design." Tomasz leaned closer, studying the patterns. "It's incredible. They must have understood something about balance and life that we've forgotten." As they moved through a narrow corridor of vines and glowing flowers, Tomasz noticed a faint sound, a soft trickle, like water moving over stones. He followed it with Myra, and they found a small hidden pond, its surface glowing with reflected light from the plants around it. Myra knelt beside the water, dipping her fingers in carefully. "This is pure, cleaner than anything I've seen in the colony." The garden itself is alive, keeping everything in balance. Tomasz sat next to her, watching the gentle ripples in the water. It's beautiful. And I feel like discovering this with you makes it even more special. Myra glanced at him, surprised, her eyes meeting his. For a moment, neither spoke, only the soft sounds of the garden surrounding them. There was something unspoken in that silence, a connection forming, fragile but real. Suddenly, the ground beneath them trembled slightly. A small piece of the wall crumbled, sending dust into the air. Tomasz stood quickly. See? This place is unpredictable. We need to stay alert. Myra nodded, standing beside him. Yes. But I'm glad we're exploring it together. I trust you, Tomasz. He felt a surge of warmth at her words. I trust you too, Myra. More than I expected. For the rest of the day, they carefully explored the garden together, sharing observations and theories, laughing quietly at small discoveries, and helping each other over tricky terrain. Every step seemed to deepen their trust, and an unspoken bond grew stronger with each passing hour. As the sun began to set, casting long shadows across the glowing plants, Tomasz and Myra stood on a small hill overlooking the garden. The beauty of the hidden world stretched before them, magical and alive. Tomasz realized that he had found more than a hidden garden, he had found a companion, someone who shared his curiosity, his wonder, and now, perhaps something deeper. Myra looked at him, her eyes reflecting the glowing light. Tomorrow, we'll explore the ruins further, she said softly. There's so much more to discover. Tomasz nodded, feeling a thrill of excitement and hope. I can't wait. As they left the hidden garden to return to their camp, Tomasz thought about how strange and wonderful life could be, how danger, mystery, and beauty could bring two people together in a place no one else had seen. And for the first time, he felt that this adventure might be more than just about discovery. It might be the beginning of something extraordinary. The next day, Tomasz and Myra returned to the hidden garden with a sense of excitement. The morning light made the glowing plants sparkle even more, as if the garden itself welcomed them back. Birds chirped in the distance, and small streams trickled softly over stones, creating a gentle, peaceful melody. Tomasz felt a thrill in his chest. Each time he entered the garden, it felt like stepping into a new world full of secrets waiting to be uncovered. They walked carefully among the twisted trees and glowing flowers, their boots brushing against soft moss. Myra paused frequently, examining plants with delicate care, jotting notes in her notebook. Tomasz noticed how focused she looked, her eyes scanning each detail as if the garden were speaking directly to her. Look at this, Myra said softly, kneeling beside a strange plant with leaves that shimmered like silver. Its patterns are unlike anything in the colony. I think these plants might even adapt to changes in light or temperature. They're almost intelligent. Tomasz crouched next to her. You're right. It's incredible. Whoever created this garden or whatever grew it knew exactly how to make it thrive. It's like it's alive in more ways than one. As they moved deeper into the ruins, Tomasz noticed walls carved with intricate symbols. Some were simple shapes, while others seemed to tell stories. He ran his fingers over a symbol that looked like a circle surrounded by vines. These carvings, they might be telling us something. Maybe they explain who built this garden and why. Myra leaned close to study the carvings. Yes. I think these symbols are a kind of language. I don't understand it completely yet, but I can see patterns. The plants, the water, the stones, they're all connected. Whoever lived here wanted to show the balance of life. Tomasz nodded, impressed. It's amazing to think humans could survive in a place like this so long ago. They must have had patience and care, just like you show with these plants. Myra smiled at the compliment, a small warmth spreading across her face. Thank you. And I admire your courage. Exploring a place like this isn't easy. You're always thinking ahead, making sure we stay safe. They shared a quiet moment, watching a small group of glowing insects flit among the flowers. Tomasz felt a strange closeness to Myra, a sense that they were not only exploring the ruins together but also sharing something deeper, a bond that grew stronger with every shared discovery. Suddenly, a soft rumble echoed through the garden. Tomasz stood quickly, alert. Did you hear that? Myra looked around, her eyes wide. Yes, it sounded like the ground moving. They followed the sound carefully and found a hidden chamber partially covered by vines. The carvings on the walls were older here, worn by time but still visible. Myra traced her fingers over them, her voice hushed. These tell a story, about people who lived here, long before the colony. They cultivated the garden, studied the plants, and left messages for anyone who came after them. Tomasz knelt beside a carving of a figure holding a glowing flower. It looks like they wanted to share their knowledge, their understanding of nature. It's inspiring. Myra looked at him, her eyes reflecting the soft glow from the plants. Yes. And I think they would want us to protect this place, not just study it. Tomasz smiled, feeling a sense of responsibility mixed with awe. Then that's what we'll do. Together. For the rest of the day, they explored the chamber, documenting carvings, studying plants, and slowly piecing together the story of the hidden garden. Every discovery brought them closer, their admiration turning into quiet affection. Tomasz found himself noticing small things about Myra, her careful movements, her gentle voice, and the way her eyes lit up when she uncovered something new. Myra, in turn, appreciated Tomasz's courage, his curiosity, and the way he made her feel safe in the unpredictable ruins. As evening fell, the garden glowed under the soft light of the alien sun. Tomasz and Myra sat together on a low stone wall, watching the flowers shimmer. The ruins were silent now, but they both felt the presence of the past, the people who had built this place, the life that still thrived, and the story waiting to be told. This place is incredible, Tomasz said softly. But it's more than that. I'm glad I'm here with you, Myra. Myra's eyes softened, and she reached out, brushing a strand of hair from her face. I feel the same, Tomasz. Discovering this garden with you, it makes everything feel more meaningful. For the first time, they allowed themselves to fully feel the connection between them, a quiet understanding that their journey through the hidden garden was not only about discovery but about trust, companionship, and the beginning of something extraordinary. As the stars appeared above the ruins, Tomasz knew that tomorrow would bring more secrets, more challenges, and perhaps more moments that would draw them even closer. The hidden garden had become more than a place of mystery, it had become the start of a shared adventure, and the spark between them was impossible to ignore. The morning air was crisp as Tomasz and Myra returned to the hidden garden, eager to continue their exploration. The sun filtered through the tall trees, casting long shadows on the glowing plants. Birds sang cheerfully, and the soft sound of water trickling over stones filled the quiet spaces between the ruins. Tomasz felt a surge of excitement. Every visit to the garden revealed something new, something magical. Look at this, Myra said, pointing to a cluster of flowers that glowed bright pink when touched. They respond to movement and light. I've never seen anything like this. Tomasz knelt beside her, his fingers brushing lightly over the petals. It's incredible. Almost like they're alive in ways we can't understand. Every time we come here, it feels like the garden is trying to show us something. They moved deeper into the ruins, careful not to disturb the delicate plants. Tomasz noticed that the carvings on the walls were more intricate here, telling stories of people who had lived in harmony with the garden centuries ago. Myra traced the symbols with her fingers, her eyes wide with fascination. Suddenly, a faint crackling sound echoed through the ruins. Tomasz paused, looking around. "Do you hear that?" Myra nodded, frowning. "Yes, it sounds like something is burning." Before they could react, a small section of glowing plants near the outer wall ignited. Bright orange flames licked the edges of the vines, spreading quickly across the dry leaves. Tomasz and Myra froze for a moment, stunned. The garden had always seemed calm, almost magical, but now it was dangerous. "We need to move," Tomasz said, grabbing Myra's hand. "This way." They ran toward a safer path, carefully stepping over stones and roots. Myra tried to shield some of the glowing flowers with her jacket, but the fire spread faster than they could control. Tomasz noticed a small stream nearby and pulled Myra toward it. "We can use the water to protect some plants." Together, they poured water over the edges of the fire, trying to stop it from reaching the more delicate areas of the garden. Smoke filled the air, making it hard to breathe, but neither of them gave up. Their hearts pounded as they worked together, moving with urgency and care. At one point, a large branch fell from a tree, blocking their path. Tomasz lifted it carefully, using all his strength, while Myra guided the glowing plants away from the flames. They finally reached a small clearing, safe from the fire's immediate threat. Both of them were out of breath, their clothes damp from water and sweat. Myra looked at Tomasz, her eyes wide with concern. "That was too close." Tomasz nodded, trying to catch his breath. "Yes, but we did it. We saved as much as we could." For a moment, they stood in silence, listening to the crackling fire in the distance and the soft trickle of the streams around them. Tomasz noticed Myra's hand trembling slightly and reached out, holding it gently. "You're okay," he said softly. "I'm here." Myra's eyes softened, and she squeezed his hand. "I know. I'm glad you were with me. I couldn't have managed this alone." Tomasz felt a warmth in his chest he had never experienced before. In the midst of danger and chaos, he realized how much he cared for Myra, not just as a partner in discovery, but as someone who mattered deeply to him. They spent the next hour carefully moving through the ruins, putting out smaller fires and protecting as many plants as possible. Every action required trust and coordination, and their bond grew stronger with each step. Tomasz admired Myra's calm determination, and Myra appreciated Tomasz's quick thinking and courage. Together, they were stronger than they could ever be alone. As the fire finally died down, smoke curling gently into the sky, they stood in a quiet part of the garden, exhausted but relieved. The glowing plants around them seemed to pulse softly, as if thanking them for their care. Tomasz looked at Myra, noticing the dirt and ash on her face, the way her hair fell over her eyes, and the fierce determination in her expression. "You were amazing," he said quietly. "I couldn't have done this without you." Myra smiled, a mixture of relief and affection in her eyes. "And I couldn't have done it without you. We make a good team." For a long moment, they simply stood there, side by side, feeling the bond between them grow stronger. The fire had tested them, pushed them to their limits, and in the process, had revealed a connection neither of them had expected. Tomasz realized that the hidden garden had given them more than discovery, it had given them each other. As the sun set behind the trees, casting a warm golden glow over the ruins, Tomasz and Myra sat together on a stone bench, exhausted but content. The garden was safe for now, the fire extinguished, and the secrets of the ruins still waiting to be uncovered. But Tomasz knew one thing for certain: whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them together. The morning after the fire, the hidden garden looked different. Some areas were charred, and smoke still drifted lazily from patches of burned plants. Tomasz and Myra walked carefully through the ruins, their footsteps soft on the damp earth. The fire had been frightening, but it had also shown them the strength and resilience of the garden and of each other. "We did the best we could," Tomasz said quietly, surveying the damage. "It's sad to see some plants burned, but most of them survived." Myra nodded, her eyes scanning the glowing flowers that had endured. "Yes, and this garden is amazing. It adapts, grows, and recovers. Just like the people who lived here long ago. They would have been proud of what we saved." Tomasz smiled, watching Myra as she gently touched the surviving plants, checking their leaves and stems. She moved carefully, her fingers brushing softly over petals and vines, almost as if she were comforting them. Tomasz felt a warmth in his chest, admiration growing into something deeper. They spent the morning working together, clearing debris and marking areas that needed more care. Tomasz lifted fallen branches while Myra used water from the streams to help revive scorched plants. Their movements were coordinated, effortless, each anticipating the other's actions. Every small success felt like a victory, and their laughter echoed softly through the ruins. At one point, Tomasz stopped to look at Myra. "You know," he said, "I think this garden brought us together for a reason. It's not just about discovery, it's about how we work together, how we trust each other." Myra looked up, her eyes softening. "I think you're right. We've faced danger, challenges, and yet, we're still here. And somehow, I feel closer to you than I expected." Tomasz felt his heart race. "I feel the same way. It's strange, but good. I've never met anyone like you, Myra. You understand things in a way that makes this garden even more incredible." She smiled, a small blush rising on her cheeks. "And I've never met anyone as brave and caring as you, Tomasz. I think we make a good team, not just here, but, in general." They paused for a moment, standing side by side among the glowing plants. The garden was quiet, peaceful, as if it recognized their bond. Tomasz felt a gentle sense of hope for the garden, for the work they had begun, and for the connection between him and Myra. As the day went on, they discovered small signs of life returning to the burned areas. Tiny shoots of green peeked from the soil, and some of the glowing flowers seemed to shine even brighter than before. Myra knelt to examine one of the new shoots. "It's amazing," she said softly. "Even after fire, life continues. That's what this garden is about. Growth, recovery, and hope." Tomasz crouched beside her, his hand brushing lightly against hers. "Just like us," he said quietly. "We faced danger, and yet, we're still here, stronger than before." Myra looked at him, her eyes shining. "Yes, stronger. And together." For the rest of the afternoon, they worked quietly, tending to the garden and documenting their observations. They shared stories of their childhoods, laughing softly at small memories, and discussed their dreams for the future. Each conversation drew them closer, building trust and understanding. As the sun began to set, casting long golden shadows across the garden. Tomasz and Myra climbed a small hill overlooking the ruins. The fire's damage was visible, but so was the life that had survived. The garden glowed softly in the evening light, a reminder of resilience and hope. "I think we did something important today," Tomasz said, his voice gentle. "Not just saving the garden, but learning about ourselves and each other." Myra leaned slightly against him, her head brushing his shoulder. "Yes. And I'm glad it was with you. I can't imagine doing this alone." Tomasz smiled, feeling a warmth that had nothing to do with the sun. "Neither can I." They stayed there for a long moment, watching the garden shimmer in the twilight. Tomasz realized that the hidden garden was more than a place of mystery and beauty. It was a place that had brought them together, tested them, and shown them the value of care, trust, and companionship. As night fell, they finally returned to their camp, tired but content. Tomasz knew that the garden still held secrets, challenges, and discoveries, but he also knew something else: whatever came next, he and Myra would face it together. The fire had tested them, but it had also revealed the strength of their bond, and Tomasz felt certain that it would only grow stronger from here. The next morning, Tomasz and Myra returned to the hidden garden with a renewed sense of purpose. The fire from the previous days had left its mark, but life was returning quickly. Tiny green shoots sprouted from the scorched earth, and the glowing plants seemed brighter than before, as if celebrating their survival. The garden was alive, resilient, and full of secrets waiting to be uncovered. "We need to explore every corner today," Myra said, her eyes shining with excitement. "There's still so much we don't understand. Some of these plants could have properties that could help our colony." Tomasz nodded, feeling a thrill of anticipation. "I agree. If we document everything carefully, we might uncover something extraordinary. And I'm glad we're doing this together. We work well as a team." They started at the far edge of the ruins, where vines grew thick and twisted around ancient stone structures. Myra carefully recorded the shape, size, and glow of each plant, while Tomasz examined carvings and markings that hinted at the garden's history. The deeper they went, the more they realized how thoughtfully the garden had been created. Every plant, every stone, and every stream seemed to serve a purpose. At one corner, they discovered a small hidden chamber, partially covered by moss and vines. Inside, the walls were lined with carvings depicting humans working with plants and water, creating systems that looked surprisingly advanced. Myra traced the patterns with her fingers, her eyes wide with wonder. "These carvings, they're showing us how the garden works," she whispered. "Look at the streams, the plants, the way they are arranged. It's like an ancient system for sustaining life." Tomasz leaned closer, studying the carvings. "You're right. This garden isn't just beautiful, it's functional. These plants purify water, balance the soil, and even regulate air quality. Whoever designed this knew exactly how to make life thrive." Myra's excitement grew as she examined the glowing flowers in the chamber. "If we can understand these plants and their properties, we could help the colony survive on harsh planets. This garden could be a model for sustainable life anywhere." Tomasz smiled at her, admiration in his eyes. "You always see the bigger picture. I love that about you. Your knowledge, your curiosity, it's inspiring." Myra looked at him, her cheeks coloring slightly. "And I admire your courage, Tomasz. You explore, protect, and figure out solutions in ways that make everything possible. We balance each other perfectly." Their hands brushed as they moved a large stone to reveal more carvings. Both paused, feeling a moment of connection, a quiet understanding that their partnership was more than just professional, it was personal. As they continued exploring, Tomasz and Myra carefully documented the chamber, noting the arrangement of plants, the flow of water, and the intricate carvings. They worked side by side, their movements synchronized, their trust in each other growing stronger. Each discovery deepened their bond, and the shared excitement created a subtle, unspoken intimacy. By afternoon, they had uncovered a small central courtyard, where the most remarkable plants grew. Their leaves glowed softly, and the air was pure and fresh, unlike anywhere else on the planet. Myra knelt to examine a cluster of flowers, her eyes wide. These plants, they're incredible. They purify air and water naturally. This garden was built not just to survive but to thrive. It's a living system that can support life anywhere. Tomasz crouched beside her, his hand brushing hers as he helped steady a fragile stem. And we get to share this with the colony. We're part of something bigger than ourselves. I can't imagine doing this with anyone else but you. Myra's eyes softened, and she smiled. I feel the same, Tomasz. We've been through danger, discovery, and challenges together. And now, we understand the true purpose of this garden. Together. They spent the rest of the day carefully collecting samples, documenting findings, and making plans to preserve the garden. Each moment of shared discovery strengthened their connection. The hidden garden had tested them, inspired them, and now united them in purpose and in heart. As the sun began to set, casting a golden glow over the ruins, Tomasz and Myra stood together, looking over the glowing courtyard. The garden pulsed gently with life, a reminder of resilience, intelligence, and hope. Tomasz realized that their adventure had become more than exploration, it had become a shared journey of trust, admiration, and love. Myra turned to him, her eyes reflecting the soft glow of the plants. Tomorrow, we'll show the colony what we've discovered. But tonight, let's just enjoy this moment. This garden, this work, and us. Tomasz smiled, feeling warmth in his chest that had nothing to do with the sun. I couldn't agree more. This garden brought us together, and now, we're part of it, part of each other, and part of something extraordinary. They stood side by side, hands brushing lightly, hearts connected in quiet understanding. The hidden garden was more than a discovery, it was hope, life, and the beginning of something beautiful. The morning sun bathed the hidden garden in warm golden light. Tomasz and Myra walked through the glowing plants, their steps careful, their eyes full of wonder. The fire had passed, and life had returned stronger than ever. Tiny shoots peeked from the earth, and the glowing flowers shimmered brighter, as if celebrating survival. Today, they would share the garden's secrets with the colony, but first, they wanted to savor the quiet beauty of the place that had brought them together. This garden, it feels alive, Myra said softly, brushing her fingers over a glowing leaf. It's more than just plants and ruins. It's hope, Tomasz. It teaches us about resilience, life, and care. Tomasz nodded, watching the gentle shimmer of the flowers. It's true. And it's taught me about more than just survival. It's shown me the value of trust, teamwork, and connection. I couldn't imagine exploring this place with anyone else but you. Myra looked at him, her eyes softening, a gentle smile spreading across her face. I feel the same. We've faced danger, discovery, and challenges, together. And now, this garden feels like a part of us, and we a part of it. Their words hung in the air, warm and sincere, as they continued exploring. Every corner of the garden seemed to glow brighter under the morning light, reflecting the shared excitement and trust between them. Tomasz reached out, brushing a strand of hair from Myra's face. She didn't pull away, instead, she let him, their fingers touching lightly. The gesture was small, but it carried a quiet meaning, a promise of companionship and understanding. They spent the next hours documenting the garden, collecting samples, and taking careful notes. Tomasz focused on the structures and carvings, while Myra studied the plants, testing their properties and recording observations. Their movements were synchronized, a seamless partnership built on trust and mutual respect. Every discovery strengthened not only their knowledge of the garden but also their bond. When they finally finished, they stood at the edge of the central courtyard, the glowing flowers surrounding them like a living embrace. Tomasz looked at Myra, his heart full. "We've done it. We've preserved the garden, uncovered its secrets, and I think we've discovered something even more important: each other." Myra's cheeks colored slightly, but she smiled, her eyes bright. "Yes. This garden brought us together, taught us about life, and gave us a purpose. And I'm grateful for that. For you." Tomasz took her hand gently, holding it with care. "I'm grateful for you too. For your courage, your intelligence, your kindness. Together, we can face anything." They shared a quiet moment, standing in the glowing garden, feeling the pulse of life around them. It was a feeling of peace, hope, and unspoken love. The ruins had tested them, the fire had challenged them, and the garden had rewarded them not only with discoveries, but with trust and companionship that neither would forget. By afternoon, the colony team arrived, curious and cautious. Tomasz and Myra led them through the garden, explaining the carvings, showing the glowing plants, and demonstrating the way the garden sustained itself. The colonists were amazed, their eyes wide with wonder. Some knelt to touch the glowing flowers, while others marveled at the streams and pools of pure water. "This is incredible," one of the scientists said. "If we study this garden carefully, it could change the way we live on other planets. It's a blueprint for life itself." Tomasz and Myra exchanged a glance, their smiles quiet but full of meaning. They had discovered something extraordinary, preserved it, and shared it with others, but the most extraordinary discovery was each other. As the sun began to set, casting golden and orange light across the garden, Tomasz and Myra stood side by side, watching the glowing plants shimmer in the evening glow. The colony members had returned to camp, leaving the ruins peaceful once more. "I think this is just the beginning," Tomasz said softly. "The garden will continue to grow, and we'll continue to explore, discover, together." Myra leaned slightly against him, her hand in his. "Yes. Together." For a long moment, they stood there, quiet and content, feeling the life of the garden and the strength of their connection. The fire that had threatened the hidden garden was now a distant memory, replaced by growth, beauty, and hope. Tomasz realized that the hidden garden had done more than survive: it had brought life, discovery, and love into their lives. As stars began to twinkle above the ruins, Tomasz and Myra walked slowly back to their camp, the glowing plants lighting their path. They knew that the garden's secrets were far from fully uncovered, and that future challenges would come, but they also knew they would face them together. The hidden garden had tested them, taught them, and rewarded them. And through it all, it had sparked something eternal: trust, respect, and the beginning of a love that would grow alongside the garden itself. In the quiet of the evening, surrounded by the gentle glow of the hidden ruins, Tomasz and Myra smiled at each other, knowing that the adventure of life and love was just beginning.